thanks for listening. This is Brian Hurley from Business Performance Improvement. The podcast Lean Six Sigma Bursts are short lessons, comments, Q&A, and insights. If you have a question, send your question through the Anchor app, and we might feature you on a future episode. Or contact me at biz-pi.com.
This is the third part of the Clay Jones speech from back in 2006 about the Lean Electronics program at Rockwell Collins. You can go back and listen to part 1 and part 2 if you haven't listened to this one. And then at the end here, I'll come back and give you my thoughts.
Now, the next milestone on our Lean journey came in 2001, not long after, about halfway through this core process optimization, when we took a holistic look at how we were doing so far. Felt pretty good. We had all these Kaizen, RPI events. We had the CPO going. People were moving and shaking. How are we going to do? So, to get a fresh set of eyes, I decided to bring in a Lean consultant, or a sensei, if you will. We asked a couple of fellows you may know, Denny Mead and John Shook from the Lean Enterprise Institute, to spend several months with us to help us assess that progress. And from this analysis, we found 3 things that needed significant improvement. The first was acceleration. We needed to move faster. We had set goals in 1998, and we were meeting very few of those goals. We needed to step up our application of Lean tools and principles if, in fact, we were going to get where we needed to get fast enough. The second is we needed far greater efficiency in the application of these Lean tools. We were spending a lot of time for the results we were getting. And in fact, I kept saying, I said, isn't it a shame that the process to become efficient has become inefficient itself? So, as I mentioned earlier, we started off with 5-day RPI or Kaizen events, and once we knew the language, were trained on Lean, and had done one of these events and decided to do it again, it still took 5 days. And we learned that wasn't necessarily the best way to go about it. We asked the question, why can't we make those improvements in 3 days, or 2 days, or 1 day? And then the third area, which was probably as much as any of the rest of the other 2, the most important, was we knew we needed bottom line results, not just results. We weren't seeing the benefit of all this Lean effort and activity at the places where it was most important. In order to fully measure the impact of Lean, we needed to see a distinct customer benefit, a share owner benefit, or an employee benefit. And we just weren't seeing that. Now, to realize these improvements, they gave us one more suggestion. We needed far more leadership involvement. Our leaders were too frequently delegating Lean instead of actively involving themselves, walking the talk, and leading by example. As a result of our own analysis and this feedback, we made what I'd like to call a severe course correction in our Lean journey. We took all of our education and all the principles and tools of Lean we'd learned to date, along with those recognition of what we needed to apply faster, more efficiently, and more bottom-line results, and we introduced a whole new process built around value stream mapping. We developed what we call our Lean Roadmap, and that Lean Roadmap was divided into 2 very separate and distinct tracks as you move through that roadmap. One focused around activity flow, and the other focused around leadership. The activity flow started with a foundation of defining what does it take to win in each of our businesses and functions. What does it take for us to win?
Let me pause for a moment to tell you about our sponsor, Creative Safety Supply. Creative Safety Supply is a great resource for free guides, infographics, and continuous improvement tools. I recommend starting with their 5S guide. It includes breakdowns of the 5 pillars, ways to begin implementing 5S, and even organization tips and color charts. From red tags to floor markings, it's all there. Download it for free at creativesafetysupply.com/5S.
That enabled us to identify those elements of our value stream that we needed and wanted to optimize. It allowed us now, by defining a current state and envisioning what a future state and the goals should be, now and only then would we define specific tasks and activities and events that need to be done that would take us to that end state which is, what does it take to win? That change was a defining moment in our lean journey, because the question then became not how many lean events did we do that year, how many black belts or lean certifications our people have. Instead, the question became, what did we need to do in order to win? That most fundamental of business questions. We moved from lean for its own sake, or as an independent initiative of many initiatives, to lean as a success enabler that needed to be part of our culture. Now, the leadership path I talked about within our lead roadmap started with immersing our leaders in lean. We recognized that our leaders needed to do more than just read about lean. They needed to know it well enough to teach it. And so our leaders learned, and they were expected to teach value stream mapping. As a result, they were better able to set expectations, better able to lead their people through inevitable challenges, remove the roadblocks, and set a cadence to make sure that people were accountable for what they said they were going to do, and make their own course corrections when they saw the need. Ultimately, they were also better able to ensure that there was alignment between our value streams and that bottom line I talked about. As we define what it would take to win on an enterprise or a company level, we needed to identify metrics, measures, because every part of our company would have a different role in that total value stream, from our businesses to finance to human resources, engineering, technology, and all the others. And because they were components of the value stream and did different things, there needed to be an umbrella metric to tie all their activities back to. So we constructed at the same time and introduced it when we introduced that roadmap, the Rockwell Collins Scorecard, to provide that visibility. We started at the highest levels of our company, aligning it with our vision roadmap, and we assembled a scorecard to align those goals, which for us as a company was what it took to win. Those goals included superior customer value, sustainable and profitable growth, leadership in our served markets, and the ability to attract and retain talented and motivated people. Within each of those four goals, we included things to measure like customer acceptance rate, on-time delivery, sales growth, cash flow from operations, return on invested capital, earnings per share, and market share. We also included sales per employee as a measure of productivity, and capture rates to define our success in winning new business. And while many of these already existed, we also included new measures. For example, we collected our Cost of Nonconformance, which essentially defines all of the waste that existed in our company. I think it took us 2 years to define accurately what the Cost of Nonconformance was. And those, as well as other measures, made up our scorecard and provided a very visible definition, again, of what it takes to win. And I'll talk a little bit more about those measures a little bit later in my presentation.
I do remember when Denny Mead came in. I don't remember John Shook, his involvement very much, but Denny Mead did come back every so often and meet with Clay, and then we would hear the updates and feedback. The other thing that he mentioned in the speech was the bottom line results. And I distinctly remember him asking, what has lean electronics saved us? What has the benefits been to this initiative? And I think someone threw out $100 million, but that was just a stab in the dark. And I think that is one thing that lean doesn't do a great job of, that Six Sigma does a good job, tying it to the bottom line. And you heard that in the speech, that was something missing. They couldn't show the tangible results. It wasn't obvious. So they looked at the scorecard and said, how do we try and track this a little bit easier? But it's just not part of the structure of a lean event or Kaizen event, is to focus on the money and the dollars. And that can be good or bad. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. But it does help, I think, to be able to say, is this actually going to show an impact to the business? Because maybe the improvements didn't quite get sustained. And I do like that part about Six Sigma, that you track it and show results and tie it directly to bottom line savings. The downside is that you get so focused on the money, you forget about the learning and the engagement of the people. And that becomes more of the focus on the money, not the intangible things that are hard to measure, but very, very important. They also mentioned the cost of nonconformance. So actually was responsible for finding the CDs that we used in our training and helped get that purchased and brought in. That was provided by Philip Crosby and Associates. And that sounds about right, around 2001, 2002. At the time, I felt a little unsure because of the price tag. It was not cheap. I was like, I don't know if this is a good investment, but the quality director at the time said, no, let's move forward with it. It's a lot, but it'll be worth it. And looking back, all that training and focus around the cost nonconformance was a huge initiative and very powerful and very effective. So I wasn't involved in creating the reports specifically, but we would take those reports and show different departments and teams where their costs were going, and then try to launch projects and initiatives to go tackle some of those costs. So he mentions that it covered a lot of the waste. It actually didn't cover as much waste as what was out there. It was only a snapshot of some of the waste we could capture in the data. There is 2, 3, 4 times that amount if you could actually capture all of it. That's really out there in terms of opportunity. But the cost nonconformance was definitely a huge initiative that really got us to see opportunities and really focus on where is our cost going. And I think that really helped drive future improvement activities. I'll have part 4 posted pretty soon, so stay tuned.
Lean6sigmadefinition.com has a list of glossary items about popular process improvement terms, along with the history of Lean and Six Sigma methods, and key influencers like Dr. Edward Deming, Henry Ford, Taiichi Ono, Shigeo Shingo, and many more. You can also learn how to access affordable Lean and Six Sigma training and certification. Visit Lean6sigmadefinition.com.